All right, everyone. Well, I've got 12:05 as the time, so we'll go ahead and get started here. First of all, thank you all for joining us today. I know there's a lot of webinars still going on, and there's a lot of things happening now that the weather's getting nicer. So we really appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us for this forum. So without further ado, we've got our water stewardship during recreational activities presentation today. This is going to be by Dave Murcia. And before we dive too much into that, I just wanted to welcome everybody to I'm sorry, everyone. It looks like my presentation stopped there, so not sure what happened, but we'll try again. All right. Second time's the charm, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, like I was saying, I want to welcome you to Partners of Scott County Watersheds. If you're not familiar with us, we are an organization that is dedicated to reducing flooding and improving our water quality through education, volunteer opportunities, and technical guidance. So if you want to learn more about us, you can go to our website or Facebook or send me an email, and I'd be happy to talk more. Partners has some more upcoming events and opportunities. So we have another forum in a month, again, second Tuesday or third Tuesday. And that's going to be with Susan Fryer. She is going to talk about sustainable farming and water quality BMPs. You can learn more about that by going to our website. We also have our summer snapshot coming up, which is our big volunteer water quality monitoring event. Say that 5 times fast. That's going to be on Saturday, July 17th. And you can learn more about that on our website, and you can register at extremecleanup.org. We can't do this without our partners. So thank you everyone who helps us to keep our organization going. And if you're interested in being one of those people, we have lots of options, and you can learn more about that on our website. And last little thing to share here, the Iowa Corn Growers Association was kind enough to donate some free nitrogen test strips to the public here. So if you are interested in getting your hands on some of these test strips, send us an email. We can mail these to you, or we can also come out to your home, to your property, and give you some technical assistance and guidance for some water quality monitoring. So send us an email if you're interested in that. And that is what I've got here. So now I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and give Dave a moment here to share his screen. And while he does that, I'd like to introduce him. So we have Dave Murcia here, who is the naturalist and director of the Wapsie River Environmental Education Center out in Dixon. And that's part of the Scott County Conservation Board. And Dave is a certified interpretive guide through the National Association for Interpretation. And he's also a member of the Iowa Association of Naturalists. Dave's mission is grounding people with our natural world and connecting the freedom of nature by exploring healthy natural lifestyles through experiences with Mother Earth. So I think without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to you, Dave.
Thank you, Kelsey. Can everybody hear me? And do you see the water stewardship first slide? Very good.
It looks great.
Excellent. Well, I want to start out by thanking everybody and welcoming the explorers and adventurers of our waterways. One thing to keep in mind, this can't be done without partners. So I applaud the Eastern Iowa Community College, Partners of Scott County Watershed. So thank you, Kelsey, for the invite. Brian and Heather, thank you for setting up the PowerPoint, or I should say this application. So I'm going to run through stewardship of watershed recreation. It could be a variety of different applications and activities that you and your lifestyles incorporate. but in any way, shape, or form, we do impact the land and water around us through recreation. I am a naturalist for Scott County. I'm the director at the Wapsie River Environmental Education Center for Scott County Conservation. I am currently a naturalist through the Iowa Association of Naturalists. I am a CIG, or Certified Interpretive Guide, through the National Association for Interpretation. I am a trainer for Leave No Trace, which we'll be focusing on through water recreation today. I am a board member for Partners of Scott County Watersheds. I am also a facilitator for the Master Steward River Steward Program, boat safety instructor. So I like the water. I do like to recreate. You can see that picture there of one of my favorite things to do in kayaking. So shameless plug, get in line. We have kayaking programs throughout the whole paddling season. So give us a call and we can get you out there among other people in the community to get out to the water. I want to start off by also recognizing Aldo Leopold, and some of his quotes seem to fit today. And that land is community. And that's the basic concept of ecology, but that land is to be loved and respected is an extension of ethics. So we're talking about land ethics, watershed ethics, the way we recreate, or the way we carry ourselves in our lifestyles. So that's very important. Again, depending on what recreation that you're actually interested in, we have an impact on our land and therefore in the watershed. So keep that in mind. There's a nice, beautiful picture of a nice lake up in the Northwest, I believe. So what is Leave No Trace? The mission is to protect the outdoors by teaching and inspiring people to enjoy it responsibly. It's as simple as that. Now, there are some things about Leave No Trace that people aren't necessarily aware of. Think about those people who like to go hiking along rivers, the bike trails here in the Quad Cities, been on a picnic, fishing, hunting, paddling, any of those activities along the riverway or your favorite lake or pond, through educating people on particularly 7 principles of outdoor ethics could really help facilitate and lessen the impact we have whenever we're outside. Why do we want to do this? Well, Leave No Trace is a great way to minimize the impacts of outdoors. And you can see there a waterway there. Thankfully, that doesn't look like our shorelines here, but that is something that does happen, obviously, throughout the world, throughout the United States. 9 out of 10 people who visit the outdoors typically are not informed about Leave No Trace ethics. With over 13 billion trips to the outdoors alone in the US, people are causing preventable damage and damage that is adding up. That's just something that's happening in the United States. These impacts include, from outdoor recreation, wildlife impacts when venturing out, including along all watersheds. Unfortunately, there you got a great blue heron who's stuck in some fishing line, it looks like. Impacts from outdoor recreation affect soils, loss of organic litter, soil compaction, erosion happens along waterways. Of course, other impacts to vegetation, cultural resources. Those might be due to historic features, artifacts along the waterways. Here in the Mississippi River, we had and still have native cultures that inhabit the waterways, and they have left behind signs of their cultures yet today. Vegetation impacts, including invasive species, that kind of thing. That is seen along our waterways regularly. Campfires, if you're camping along an area, we want to minimize campfires. Of course, water resources are impacted and other visitors. We want to make sure that we are respectful of others. The water resources are impacted by siltation, sedimentation, of course, trash, even soap and fecal waste from whether it's agricultural source points, or it could be as simple as pets, walking pets along Duck Creek. Some social impacts of crowding along busy campgrounds, along the rivers, right close there. potential conflicts between groups, that kind of thing. It diminishes the outdoor experience. And again, this is a broad introduction to leave no trace ethics and how you, depending on your choice of recreation along our waterways, can choose to lessen your impact. Little note here, this is public land use, and you can see the majority of agencies that are related to recreation far outweighing all the others are state park systems. And you can see over 700 million people visiting parks. Second one, Army Corps of Engineers, 370 million, and 331 million of national parks. You can imagine the impact that these people have when they are outdoor recreating. And the recreational impacts to these public lands or private are individual, but they are cumulative over time. And that's what we're talking about. Stopping the impact while you're visiting, recreating. The implications of outdoor use can be staggering. And imagine, 792 million people visiting park systems right along our river here, Wildcat Den, along Pine Creek, just those impacts right along the Mississippi River. They're very popular. So imagine a scene like I just mentioned, maybe Wildcat Den, Clark's Ferry along the river, things like that. Here's a typical park scene. There's grassy fields, a hardened parking area, and easy access to the river or water in this case. So you'll see as people come in, what happens when these people show up? What kinds of impacts can occur? You can imagine, if you look closely, it will increase. The impacts will increase significantly, whether people are using the waterway, leaving trash, as you can see there in that last photo. Looks like there's a dead grass for erosion there. Those definitely complicate matters along waterways. So the power of leave no trace is basically a call to preserve originally wilderness areas. And it's been transferred to backcountry and front country, watersheds, lakes, rivers, streams, all those areas. The goal is to change relationships between our use and the impacts we have on resources. Ideally, we want to share these lands, but we're going to see continued increase in impact due to visitation, which just makes sense. The environmental stewardship that is promoted by partners like Partners of Scott County Watersheds, Scott County Conservation, and Leave No Trace extends beyond the outdoor enthusiasts to include anyone who is actually enjoying the outdoors and anybody else who's concerned with the relationship we have with our natural world. This is science-based and data-driven when we're talking about specific Leave No Trace ethics, and in particular, the Center for Outdoor Ethics. Scott County Conservation Board at the Wapsie Center is currently a community partner. So we are proud of that, and we want to share the wealth. And this is one opportunity to at least introduce ethics along waterways and shared resources. It is a data-driven approach, and the existing Leave No Trace scientific literature aligns with disciplines of recreation ecology and human dimensions using natural resources. Now, recreation ecology is a field of study that examines the impacts of visitors to protected areas, unprotected public lands, and this message is being focused on recreation impacts that are related to our visits. One of the most important causes of visitor-created impacts along waterways or any land is the impactful visitor behavior. And therefore, we're concentrating on education, just like Partners of Scott County Watersheds does. So do we and other partners locally, like Nahant Marsh. We're proud to be partners with all of you. River Action, Living Lands and Waters, you name it. There's many out there. So what are the principles? The 7 typical principles are listed right there in front of you. We're going to go through a few of them. We will talk about examples, that kind of thing. But if you can at least remember one of these, and which one that might best represents something that you yourself can stick in your head. We do awareness workshops throughout the years and seasons, so look forward to that. But 7 principles as listed there. One of the most critical would be planning ahead and be prepared. So that's very simple. What are you going to do on your outing? What are you going to do on your exploration? So planning ahead, that is very important. Know where you are going. Are you taking maps? Are you staying on trails? Are you packing in and packing out? You want to know your rules and regs and those laws around. The research shows that this education through Leave No Trace has been successful in improving people's knowledge about the minimal impact practices, fostering outdoor ethics. Again, back to that ethical statement by Aldo Leopold, where community is loved, therefore it becomes an ethic. It has positive influences on responsible behavior in the outdoors, particularly. And then the research also indicates that education fosters healthier, thriving wildlife, fewer negative interactions with humans, whether it's the bald eagles that roost along the rivers, to the fish that people are seeing in their waters. It does have considerable litter reduction in learning these principles, how to dispose of waste properly, that kind of thing. Less degradation of plant and animal species that are native, with the emphasis on native. And then stronger bonds between humans and the outdoors gives people the greater sense of stewardship. It's a simple, effective framework for making good decisions in nature, no matter how you choose to spend your outdoors. So first one being plan ahead and prepare. That actually is our water access site for paddling trail along the Wapsipinicons Lower Water Trail, the Bends to Beaches Trail. So when you're planning ahead and preparing on any outdoor adventure, including waterways, you want to plan ahead. Be prepared. If you're camping out along waterways, there are a number of things to keep in mind. Do you have a map? Do you know where you're going? What regulations there are to incorporate less impacts? Are you even allowed to have a fire at the shoreline of a waterway? Know your rules and regulations and the laws. Depending on the recreation type, when you're planning ahead and preparing, let's say you're going to go paddling, you're going to have to dispose of your waste properly. You're going to have to pack in and out. Are you prepared? How long of a stretch are you going? If you're fishing, are you doing catch and release for better ethics of stewardship in the water? Are you using non-lead tackle? That stewardship of contamination or toxins in the water is huge to the wildlife that call it home, but also from those people who are fishing it and actually do have a